The American dream. What did that ever mean? What does it mean now? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to me? That term has always been really vague for a reason, because the American dream is always just a way to kind of lull you to sleep into thinking that you had quote unquote rights given to you by your government, and that you were supposed to operate within those government given rights under a quote unquote constitution to live a life that would make you happy. That's the American dream. But when you really think about what that term means and how most people interpret it in America, it really equals more greed. Greed and power and ownership of things, of items, of houses, of cars, of boats, of RVs, of things like that. That's what we think when we think of the American dream. I can achieve anything, right? But did you? Did you achieve what they said this American dream was supposed to be? And if you did find success in the old world that's now gone, did you find true contentment in that? See, the thing about the American dream, man, when you dream, you're not in reality, right? When you're sleeping and you're dreaming, you're not facing the reality of the world. And that's kind of what the American dream's always been. It's been to keep us focused on something, focused on something that we thought when we eventually got there, we'd be happy. Keep chasing your entire life. And if I ever get that, I'll be happy. If I ever get to this point, I'll be ready to get married. If I ever finally get that promotion and get that $20,000 raise, we'll finally be able to be able to think about having children. And it never ends, this American dream. It never ends. You're always chasing it. It's not achievable because it's always been a lie. And it's really that simple. And I think about my entire life, since the time I can remember, which was about 3, I would say. Nothing I was ever told about the way the world works and about the way this country works and about what I was supposed to do to operate within it to be happy, none of that ever made sense to me. None of it ever. It seemed opposite of everything I was. And I knew that from a young age. It didn't make sense. Like, the only thing that I ever got out of going to school, things like that, was relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, being around people, having fun, and then they give you, when you're in elementary school, probably don't do this anymore. I hope they do. Who knows what schools are doing anymore? Get your kids out of those. Man, public schools, get them out. Quick. Can't believe I haven't talked about that at all. I do on Twitter, but geez. But they give you recess, 20 minutes a day or whatever to go outside and actually have some fun. And the rest of the time you sit there in your little prison cells called classrooms and get taught things that not only don't matter, but brainwash you into complying to the system. It's like the Pink Floyd song, Brick in the Wall. That's all it is. You're just taught to be a brick in the wall, and the wall that you're a part of, you got to remember someone's building that wall for a purpose. Walls don't just spring up; they get built, and you've been engineered. You've been socially engineered. Understand that from the day you were born, the day you set foot in school, even before that, because your parents before you were socially engineered. So As they're parenting you from the day you're born, you're being social engineered by default. It's not their fault. It's how we've all lived. And we're just realizing it. That's the amazing part. See, God is finally showing us for real this time, for real, what this has all been about. For hundreds of years, this is what it's been about. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. These elites, as they call them, of the world, this small group of sick, disgusting, pitiful monsters. Yeah, I say monsters loosely, like these little tiny monsters. You just step on them, just squash them. They're worthless. But they've been having generations of these freaks, these sick, disgusting freaks, social engineering you and your parents and your grandparents and your grandparents. Hundreds of years. And we never saw it. How did we never see it? I always wonder that. How the hell did I live, I'm 44 now, and I started to see all the lies about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So how did I live 38 years on this earth and never saw it? I saw it, but I didn't see it. I saw little things and bits and pieces. But I still thought through the whole thing it was my job to chase this thing called the American dream. It's the greatest country on earth, greatest country on earth. The American dream. I never wanted any of it. I was never motivated by possessions, ever. It was like I always wanted to be, because I always felt like my life would be so much simpler if I could just think that way. If I could just say, man, it would really be my dream to own a 2,500 square foot house, in the country, on a lake, and have a Dodge Ram pickup truck or whatever, and have my boat. And that would just make me happy. If I had that, man, that's my American dream. I always wanted to be that way. I always wanted to think that way. I thought that's how normal people thought. I thought that was the only answer. There was no other solution. This is why I lived my life miserably, because I kept trying to force myself into the box. And when I say American dream, I think it extends beyond that. It's a worldwide thing, You call it the American dream, but it's just the dream that we're told to have of what a good life is. Possessions, buy, consume, buy, consume, buy, consume. That's all they want you to do. They want you to be a little cog in their little freak show. That's what they want. They want you and me to be little cogs in their little freak show. It's so sick. It's a worldwide thing when I talk about this American dream, right? It's what we all wanted, we thought. Except for the ones that were way ahead of me. A hell of a lot smarter than me, because I know there's people in this world that have known this for a long time. But I think it's becoming more and more apparent to more people very, very quickly. And God's doing that for a reason, because he's got to wake us up. He's got to get us out of this, man. He's got to pull us out of this mess, this nonsense. Pull out is come out of you. Come out of her, my people. Come out. That's what he's screaming at us, to come out of it. There's no such thing as the American dream, and there never has been. Right now in our lives, it's never been more important to do some serious self-reflection about what we really want, who we really are as people, as individuals. The things that you've always tried to suppress, I think, are the things that you need to start embracing of who you are. Because if you're listening to me, I'm guessing you're a lot more like me than you're not, with the way you feel about the world and the things you've been through in your life that never made sense, and that you battled and battled and battled, and your family always told you, you're weird. You're the black sheep. I'm not saying my family told me that. I'm just saying families do. They say that to their children because they don't toe the line of the system and the American dream. These people still think it's a real thing as they walk around with masks like fools. Talk about American dream? Look at yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself in the window when you're walking into that store. Give me a break. And yet these same people are so judgmental for people like us. So many of them are. Because we took a different path. We took a path that made sense to us. Like I said, my entire life I just battled and battled. I never really wanted anything. I never really wanted anything, possession or tangible. And man, I would just, I tried everything. I tried. I ran my own business for about 4 years back in the early 2000s. I had gone to school for audio engineering, and I screwed up some opportunities there that I could have taken at a young age because I was married at the time, and so I decided to not take some major opportunities that I had in the music industry because she didn't want to. And I was talking about that last night, and I often think about these little decisions that you make. You think of them as little at the time throughout your life, and how they shape the course of your life one way or the other. Man, I just think back then. Now, I'm not saying I have any regrets at all. I was just considering paths and difference of paths, and had I said at that time, at 21 or 22 or whatever I was, to this girl, this girl that I had married, we got married when I was 20, and I knew her. We dated for a very, very short period of time. We just jumped right in, And then later on, 13 years later, when we got divorced, like I said in an earlier video, found out we were never legally married. It was crazy, but had I said at that time, I don't think that this relationship was the right idea for my life, and I probably jumped into it and this, that, and the other thing, and I followed the path that was presented to me in the music industry right out of school. You probably wouldn't be listening to me right now. You probably wouldn't be. I would have had a very, very different path, and I know I would have been successful. I'm sure of that. I've always been confident about the things that I know and that I'm passionate about. Music was my life, but I gave that up. I gave it up for her, and so, but I still needed to do something with all that, that education and stuff. And so I started my own little business back in early 2000s selling royalty-free music. I would just produce instrumental tracks of all different kinds of moods and stuff like that. And I put together this collection. It was called what did I call it? The Infusion something. I don't know, royalty-free music library. And it was like 6, back then, CDs, You weren't really doing digital downloads yet. Not yet at all, actually. And so it's like a 6 CD set, and I would sell them on eBay for like $50, each CD. So I was making good money. Like, it got real popular. I sold thousands of these things, thousands of these sets, and like NFL Films used some of my music, and all kinds of radio stations and TV stations. A couple movies I can't remember anymore, but yeah. So that was cool, and so at that time in my life. I really was happy. I really was. Not happy, but my relationship, my marriage was just always a struggle. Just always, we just didn't work, It just didn't work, her and I. She's a good woman, just didn't work. And so, but yeah, I was running that business for 4 years, and then maybe even 5. And then we were married for about 9 years when we found out that we were having a child finally, and we had never tried. So I was like 29, almost 30, and she got pregnant. And so then it was like automatic pressure. Although I was making really good money doing what I was doing, but the health insurance, bleh. And so I'm like, well, I guess it's time to go corporate. Time to go corporate, And so I did that for years. 6 years at that job, and it was totally corporate. And I was managing $18 million of business per year. I several people under me, and I just kind of worked my way into that real quick. I don't remember how I did that, but but I got paid crap for the responsibility I had. It was insane what they paid me. It was junk, and I was just surrounded by feminists and feminazis, whatever you want to call them. Woo. My whole career, I've been, my whole corporate career, I've been surrounded by feminists. I've made a video about feminists. If you haven't heard it, go back and avoidthemark.com/podcast. Again, it's avoidthemark.com/podcast, and listen to the one about feminism, and you'll hear the story of my life in the corporate world and feminism and the American dream there. Woo, brutal. But so I did that, and I was miserable, and I was so miserable I got to the point where first time in my life I had anxiety. I never had anxiety. I always thought that was weird when people said they had anxiety. I'm like, about what? Well, now I was getting overwhelming anxiety. And I remember one day I was at work in my American dream, and I had just things flying at me. I'm sitting and then they didn't even give me. And listen to this. It's crazy. So I'm 6'4". I'm a big dude. I'm about 230. And so I'm managing $18 million worth of business for this company. I don't even have an office, right? It's a third of what they bring in each year, and it's all on me. I'm answerable to it all. I don't even have an office. And then, not only that, these feminazis, the one above me, is you always got somebody above you, right? Puts me in the most embarrassing little cubicle. It's kind of like the movie The Office, where they move whatever his name is with the stapler, keep moving him, and then finally move him into the basement. That's what these assholes did to me, basically. And so they put the 6'4", 230-pound dude in the smallest little tiny cubicle in the whole damn building with a pole with like the support pole for the ceiling sitting right in my cubicle. I couldn't hardly move. For one example, in my American dream, right? Doing the responsible thing. I'm out there. I'm going to be the breadwinner. I'm going to do the responsible thing. I'm going to sit here in this cubicle and get harassed by feminists all day. Living it up. Woo. So what? So I can pay my mortgage? It's so stupid. You just sit there and you be miserable all day so you can pay for stuff that you don't even enjoy. And live in a marriage that you hate. It's insanity. And then yell at your children because you hate your own damn life. It's what we've been doing. I'm not pointing fingers, man. It's what we've all been doing. When I say these things, I'm talking from experience. Man, I was so miserable, and I started drinking. By the end of all that, I couldn't take it anymore. I was never much of a drinker, ever. And it's funny, I'm just thinking about this. Because I've had a battle with alcohol. For years, I've had a battle with alcohol, off and on. And there's been a few times in the last few years, it's been bad. It got bad in a hurry. If you've been following me for a long time, like since the beginning, Beast System Revealed, March of last year, you know my stories. I don't want to go through all that now, but you know my stories with drinking, man. That's a monkey, on my back. You talk about porn in my video, in my podcast the other day. If you haven't heard that, go listen to it. Avoidthemark.com/podcast. It's called Hey Men. Porn has destroyed us, because it has. And I talk about in that video kind of pompously, and I didn't mean to. I was just thinking about this last night, how I was like, well, I don't have a problem with porn. Blah, blah, blah. What an asshole. Why did I say that? And God, like last night, pointed out to me that I have the same exact problem. It's not that I watch porn, but the problem is masturbation. And the whole problem to begin with is masturbation. So it takes your power away. So yeah, didn't mean to point fingers on that one either. I feel like an ass for what I said in that video, and I wanted to apologize for that. But alcohol, man, that one I can talk about all day, because at that point in my life, my son was like 3. Almost 4, I think, and toward the end of all that, and I'd been at this nightmare of a job, making shit money that was killing me, giving me anxiety like I'd never had in my life, spiraling out of control. One day, I was going with that. One day I was sitting at work, and I was just spiraling. Everything was coming at me, and my heart was banging out of my chest. I was like, something wasn't right, and so I went and talked to my asshole supervisor, and I just said, I don't feel well. I got to go home, whatever. So I went straight to the hospital, half an hour away or 45 minutes because I had to go to the right hospital in network. Idiots. And I get there and they take my blood pressure. It's 180 over 120. My blood pressure after driving 45 minutes, coming down from where I was at, in my anxiety attack or whatever was happening at my desk that day. I thought I was going to die. I did. And it was 180 over 120. And, so they gave me something to slow me down. But it's like one of the last times I've ever been to a doctor. It might have been the last time, actually. And I was just drinking, and, every night, like I said, I was never a big drinker. I didn't drink in high school at all. I didn't have my first drop of alcohol, except, I stole a couple of sips of my dad's beer as a kid just to see what it tastes like, but I didn't drink at all until my 20th birthday. My 20th birthday, it was the first time. So I was never a drinker, and like all through our 20s, in my marriage, we'd go out. We were in our 20s. We didn't have any children. We had friends. We'd go out to the bars, pretty much every weekend because this is what we did. We live in Wisconsin. That's what everybody did back then. You drink. You go out and you drink and you have fun, and go home and have sex and wake up hungover. That's what we did in our 20s. It was life, and but I didn't have a problem with it at all, and it just crept up on me through those years of the miserable American dream job. And by the end of it all, I left my marriage, and kind of had that monkey on my back ever since with alcohol. So it's one I battle. It's one I need God's power to power me through sometimes, in my life, because it's been bad. But I think it's important. It's really important. We really think about what's really important to us. It's really important that we think about what's really important to us as people, as individuals, because sometimes it's hard to really transition a full way of thinking. When you've been conditioned your whole life of what the American dream is and what you're supposed to pursue, and now you're kind of stuck in the middle, and that old world is gone, but it's not dead yet. You still see remnants of it. You might still be doing your job, still paying your mortgage like you already did, and just waiting to see what happens. Well, what's going to happen is it's going to keep getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. It's period. It's just what's going to happen. And if you can't see that by now, you're probably on the wrong channel. You're probably listening to the wrong podcast, because that's old news. That's been old news for a year almost. So let's step out of the American dream, right? Let's finally be people of God. Let's finally be people of God. We don't need a government. God has given us dominion over this earth, 100%. Why would you need a government to tell you what to do and to rule you when your Creator said you have dominion over the earth? Be fruitful and multiply. That's what He's telling us right now. This world's been destroyed by the enemy, and God needs to rebuild it. He needs to rebuild it. And He's not going to do it with His finger in a zap and just make it perfect instantly. It's not how God works. God needs us to work. God needs us. If He didn't need us, He wouldn't have created us. He would just sit there all alone and do His thing. Think about that. And people say, well, why did God create us? Well, He must have been lonely or something. No, I don't think that was it. See, God, Yahweh, been trying to explain it kind of in recent videos. Yahweh, He's infinite. He's the Alpha and the Omega. He's the beginning and the end. He's always expanding. He's infinitely expanding. And the only way for Him to expand is through growth. Is through creation. We're all within Him. We're in Him. We're within the Alpha and the Omega. He said, I am the beginning and the end. And we're in Him, right? So He needs us to create. That's our new dream. Our new, I'm not going to call it American dream, but our dream in Christ is to walk hand in hand with our Creator and hand in hand with the partner that you either already have or he's about to bring you, if you listen to him, listen to his voice, walk hand in hand with God, your creator, and the one that he created as a man from you. On this amazing earth he gave us. God, man, woman, earth. It's like so ridiculously important. God keeps bringing it back to me and bringing it back to me and bringing it. You know, I could start making a video about, I don't know, the realty market. I could do that. I could say, what's going on with the realty market? And by the end of it, he's going to bring me back to the same message again. You know, maybe I need it. Maybe I need it to sink in more. Maybe this is all just talk therapy for me. Ever think of that? I'd love to have a psychologist or psychiatrist analyze my brain. That would be fun. That would be fun. I remember it was funny actually at that time when I was working that one job, and I have worse stories of jobs. Like I said, go back to that feminist video, you'll hear those. But during that time, with all that anxiety, it's the only time in my life I ever tried to go to a psychiatrist, you know, just to figure out what the hell was going on with me, because I had a toddler child and a miserable marriage and a miserable job, and I had bought my house, and I didn't give a shit about that. I didn't give a shit about it at all. It didn't mean anything to me, because, you know, and so I finally broke down, and I had all this anxiety. I broke down. I went to a psychiatrist, and it was so stupid. It was such a waste of $80. I went one time for an hour. It was $60 or whatever. And I was like, man, it's just stupid. Like, she's not saying anything to me. She's not saying anything. She's just throwing word salads at me and cliche bullshit. And I could sit here, I mean, not to sound cocky or what, I don't mean it that way, but I mean, I could sit here and outsmart you, you know, seven ways till Tuesday or whatever that saying is. Like, you know, they say, well, it's about finding the right one. No, it's not. Because you could spend, you know, 5 years of talk therapy and tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm telling you, all you got to do is seek God's will. Seek, just genuinely seek first the kingdom of God, and all things will be added to you. And it's the simplest thing that we can do in this world. And it's got to be it's the most genuine thing we can do. Just be like, that's it, man. No more stupid American dream for me. I'm done with it. My biggest goal now is to seek God. That's it. And once he sees that in you, oh boy, hold on, man. Hold on. When he sees that you are genuinely seeking him and you're leaving the things of this world behind, and you're willing and ready to listen to anything he has to say to you, buckle up, my man, my woman. Buckle up. Because, number one, you're going to be happier than you've ever been in your life. I promise you. You're just going to radiate from the inside all day, just listening to God and following what he's telling you. But truly, everything becomes much less effort, up to and including the perfect match that God wants for you. I think it's so important, man. I'm not obsessed personally with this subject. I'm not. God seems to be. And I'm okay with that. Anyway, it's time to leave the American dream behind once and for all in our minds and in our hearts, and realize and see it for what it actually was. And it was a way of controlling you the whole time, keeping you docile and serving the system the whole time. I want to end this video with a song by J.O. and Mike Maranatha. It's called The American Dream, featuring Zay Hill. And you know, this song kind of says it all of what I'm talking about. They recorded this back, I believe, in December or January, and And their whole album is just so spot on with all their lyrics. But listen to their lyrics and just, it's what the American dream was. And if we're smart, we're done with it. All right. Enjoy the video and we'll talk soon. Peace.
Human identity is no longer defined by what one does, but by what one owns.
Standing on my feet till I landed on my knees. Abandon all the things that let me fall from thee. I look abroad, I see the lawlessness increase. I know that God be looking on us, but we heartless in our deeds. Yeah, lost it in our mind. Wage a war against the lies. Yeah, that been perpetrated on us since we was 5. This American dream, it blinded us all with greed. If you got ears to hear, then you got eyes to see. Come take a ride with me. Will faith collide with reason? We will fight for freedom. Gave my life to Jesus. Hung him high, draped in the sky. They mocked and beat him. Soon he gon' crack the sky and every eye gon' see him. Yeah.
And this is a war, yeah, a war for me. And I've been fighting this war and this American dream. When I fell asleep in this American dream, I fell asleep in the American dream. Nah, 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 nah.
Hey, I came a long way from the scheming to be gleaming. Was a drug fiending with a legion of demon. Living what I thought was free, deceived by the American dream. Cause it's more like a matrix, a deception of perfection. Your mind played tricks, does away with the basics. Excuse your perception. Land of the free in a home with a brave. Not face it, a land of the damned, at a home with a slave. Caged, amazed with amazing. A rat race, highway to hell and the gold is paved. But we swear we safe. Only time will tell when you hit that grave. Will your soul be raised or tossed in the blaze? Father help us cause we lost in the cost and only you deserve praise. Yeah.
And this is a war, yeah, a war for me. And I've been fighting this war and this American dream. When I fell asleep in this American dream, I fell asleep in the American dream. Nah, 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 nah.
Too many of us now tend to worship self-indulgence and consumption. But we've discovered that owning things and consuming things does not satisfy our longing for meaning.